happy Self Love Sunday. I am Tarnisha Moe Sass, your host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am your vision strategist coach who comes every single Sunday so you can talk about all the ways in which you can better your best. And I want to start this off with a very, very special happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I hope you take this day and take in that we are truly responsible for some of the most amazing souls on this earth, despite whatever it is that you may or may not be going through with your children. Take it in. It's not an easy job, it's a thankless one, but just know that you are seen, you are loved. And I just hope that you take the time out to just love on yourself, give yourself a moment, and just reflect on just how great of a job that you are doing. And if you don't know that you're doing a great job, think about it from this perspective. If you're doing everything in your power to be the best you and to bring out the best in your children, you're doing a great job. All right. So, listen, I kind of want to get into this conversation because right now I am away. I'm in another state right now. And all of this started because my vision for myself, and it started me to thinking like when I was going through putting this together and deciding where I want to be, where I want to go, and how I want to do it, what this next phase of my life is going to look like. I'm like, I'm exploring different states that I possibly live in. So, I'm in a different state right now. And as I'm going through this, I'm also thinking about my business and just all of the things, right? Because as moms, once you get to that stage where your children are now grown and you're moving on from there, you start to realize there's something that's next for you. And I was riding in the car today and I'm just like up and down the road, just kind of looking at different places. And my mind just went to the thought of what got you here won't get you there. What got you here won't get you there. And what that means is all the things that I did up until this point to get myself where I am, it's not going to take me to the next level of where I desire to be. So I said, listen, no better way than to come and talk to y'all about it, because here's the thing about Self Love Sundays. When I come and talk to you, I tell you all the time, this is not theory. This is just me telling y'all what I'm going through, what my clients have gone through, what I've helped them with, or what I'm helping myself go through, with the hopes that you listen to it and it's going to help you too. So what did I decide to do? I'm like, okay, well, let me get clear. So I decided to do something that I just came up with called shift forward, right? Because the biggest thing is there is nothing in my past anymore, that there is nothing there. In other words, what I mean by that is there's nothing to hold me back. It's like everything I've been able to put into perspective and move forward. So it allows me to be in the present, and it's time for me to shift forward into my new future. So the first thing is self-awareness and reflection. Okay. So shift forward is actually an acronym. So self-awareness and reflection. So here's what I want you to do as I go through it. You go through it with me. Okay. I want you to, really reflect on where you've been. What have you accomplished? Why am I telling you to do this? Because a lot of times when we're going through this phase of what's next for us, we start to get down, we start to compare ourselves to other people, and then we forget all of the amazing things that we've done up until this point. And here's another thing that does is it helps you look back at what strategy you used, right? So although what I did previously won't get me to my next, there was some strategies and some systems and some tools that I came up with that will be helpful as I go along to my next, right? So how do I define that? I go look at something that I believe, I could never ever accomplish and get through. And I talked about this last week in my video, going from surviving to thriving. So I'm gonna just give you a little bit more, but I look at it to say, okay, what did I do? Right? What tools did I use? Did I, whatever that process was, and I'll write that down. So, and just being self-aware of, if all this pops off, Okay. If all this pops off, if everything that you desire that you want to happen, if everything pops off, are you prepared for the pop off? Right? Because everybody wants to pop off. Everybody, and when I say everybody, I want to be clear, people who are in the entrepreneurship world, people who are trying to do big things in this world, looking for that viral moment in the business, looking for that viral moment if it's social media, but looking for it to be long, not just viral in a second, but actual longevity, right? Am I prepared for that? Right. So that's the first. H, honesty. Honest about your strengths and areas that you need improvement in. Listen, there's only a few things that can hold you back, right? And that's not having, the right skill and or knowledge for where it is you desire to go. But you have to get honest with yourself. I was having a conversation with a lady today. We were talking about very sweet lady, and she was talking about the fact that she still smokes cigarettes here and there, but it's not really like a big thing. And she wants to not smoke, but when she gets stressed she goes back to it. So I was like, okay, so it's a habit. And she's like, well, no, I don't have to. And I'm like, yeah, let's get honest today. It's a habit, because the habit is, when I'm stressed, although I may not need it all the time, there's still this Ferris wheel that I'm on, that I go back to that thing. It's no different than people who be like, well, I don't really drink and I don't have to drink and blah blah blah. And this is no judgment. I don't care what you do. I'm just using this as an example. And then it's like, but when things start to happen, they fall back into that. It's a habit. So there is a pattern that happens, and when those things fit the pattern, then I go back to the thing. But you have to be honest with yourself. Like, listen, you can lie to the world, but I hope that you be honest with yourself. Now, listen, I really hope you're not lying to the world, but if you are, I'm just saying, like, get into your journal, get into your notebook. That's why I created one as well. Like, to sit down and journal, get honest with yourself. And if you don't know the right questions to ask yourself, listen, I want to get clear on some things, but I don't know. I'm going to tell you that I created this journal card deck. It's called Finding Your Way. Questions are the answer deck. I'm actually getting ready to get this up on my website in another week or so you can actually purchase the deck. And what's in here, it's actually like 62 cards, and they're all questions. You just pull a card and you journal it. It's a way for you to start getting honest with yourself. Like, get honest about where you are, because here's the thing about honesty about your strengths as well. It'll help you say, okay, where's my weakness, and maybe I need to hire out for my weakness. I'm not saying that it's time to focus on the weakness. I'm saying maybe you need to hire out for the weakness, right? But you don't know that unless you get honest with yourself. And I'm just telling you that although it's sometimes hard to face the truth for certain things, it's better to face the truth than to live in a lie and be stuck in the same place, right? Next is intentional goal setting. I've talked about this in nauseum, because I understand that when you create the vision, right? The vision is the end goal. You can't just get there all willy nilly. You have to create some intentional goals. Okay. You have to track them. Nobody wants to track. The truth of the matter is, the way that you are able to assess is you have to track. Okay. So get intentional. Once you get honest, okay, and you say it's a skill that you need, right? Then you're gonna get intentional on getting what you need for those skills. Like, when I wanted to go into leadership and I wanted to learn more about leadership, I had to get honest. I wasn't the best leader, so I had to go figure out, like, where can I go learn leadership, right? So between John Maxwell, who is like number one leadership coach in the world, in my opinion, between him, Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, that's where I started to learn more about leadership, right? So those were the skills that I needed. So then I got intentional about, being in those communities and learning what I need to learn and paying for programs, okay? Next, feedback and guidance from mentors or peers. Listen, if you want to get to the next level of where it is you want to be, you're going to need a mentor. Like, more and more that I'm talking to you as I'm talking to myself, because I'm getting ready to get a new one, because this next level, especially because I want to do it in a whole other state, in state, not as in state as in physical body, but state as in living state. Like, I want to live in a completely different state. I know that I definitely want to lean on a different mentor. And here's the thing I'm going to tell you about mentorship. Not all mentorship is free. It just depends on who the mentor is, right? But that feedback and guidance is so great because you may be trying to go into a direction and you've never been there before, right? So you may have to sit and ask questions. Okay, these are some of the things I want to accomplish. Tell me what you think about that. Like when I say tell me what you think, it's like not about changing what you're doing, but is this a good direction to go in, right? Is this a good state to be in to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, right? Those are the questions that you want to sit with a mentor, because in the mentor should be someone who's been there and done that. Not somebody who's looking to grow just the way you're looking to grow. No, it should be someone who's already done the thing at least 2 or 3 times over, right? So they can actually be able to give you, some of that blueprint that they had. All right. Same thing with, sometimes peers are great too, because peers can give you a different perspective. So I'm not saying don't lean on your peers. I'm saying peers can give you a great perspective, but you have to get it from a peer that is like going in the same direction that you're going, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, T, take action and embrace change. Embrace change. Listen, the hardest thing to do for most people is to embrace change. Most people don't want to change, right? Like real talk, they're like forced. It's always some traumatic event that kicks something in gear, and then everybody wants to change. And if we start to realize that change is the only consistent thing that happens in our life, it's always change. If you really just stop and sit and think for a second, like there's always change. So when you can learn to embrace that, in what embracing change allows you to do is it allows you to take action and not be scared to take action. Like, right? So embracing the fact, so I'll give you an example, embracing the fact that I'm an empty nester now, right? And I get to move into a different area of my life. Embracing that has allowed me to take action to go to a whole nother state and explore, the possibilities of getting on the airplane and exploring, the possibilities of living in a whole new area. All right. If I didn't take that well, if I just, sat in the sadness of the fact that my kids are grown and they're all leaving me, right? I wouldn't be taking the actions that I'm taking. So that's why it's so important for you to do so. So that's shift, right? So shift is self-awareness and reflection, honesty and honesty about your strengths and areas for improvement, intentional goal setting, feedback and guidance from mentor and peers, right? And T is take action and embrace change. I can go into these things a little bit more in depth, but you let me know in the comments what is some, if you want me to go in more depth. If you have questions, send them to me and I'll definitely set it up. We can do coaching via YouTube. Okay. Ask the question and I'll definitely do a video for you. Okay. So that shift. So forward, foster continuous learning and development. I'm telling you right now, if you stay in your head, you're dead. I got that from Tony Robbins. I'm not clean that. Stay in your head, you're dead. And when you stop learning, you literally are dying, right? You should be looking to grow and learn yourself on a consistent basis. I don't care what it is. It doesn't always have to be personal development, right? It could be anything. What is it that you want to do? Whatever you're doing in life, right? You should be striving to know it and continue to grow as the world changes, right? So this is also about literally embracing change. Like we're in an age of technology and AI. How can you incorporate that in your business? I'm looking into doing some of that stuff too. Like that is important. Staying on top of your game. We cannot allow ourselves to just get comfortable. Listen, whether you're, and this has nothing to do with whether you're an entrepreneur or not, even on your job. Right now, I told you guys that I've been in corporate America for 28 years now. So now everything is about AI. So now I have to learn, to do my job from a different perspective. These are things that we never had to do before. You have to grow. Listen, I'm talking to my boomers and Gen Xers. You guys got to change. Like real talk, you really have, everything can't be the same. Like I'm telling you, you have to change with the times and shift. Now, I'm not talking about your morals, your values, and that. No, I'm not saying that, right? Our character stays, and I'm going to always be integrous. That's just a part of me, right? So I'm not saying that has to change. I'm talking about the growth. If you want to grow, you have to literally do the things to grow. And you know what I hear all the time? Oh, it's expensive. Let me tell you something. Going to my grave, not accomplishing and doing all the things that I know I'm capable of, that is the biggest expense. Real talk. That's the biggest expense, because when you do that, the generations that come behind you have it even harder. I don't even think people realize it. It's not just so much about you, it's about what's coming behind you too. All right, so we have to think about that. So stay in your head, you're dead, right? Stop learning, stop growing, stop picking a book. I'm right sitting in front of me. I have two books. Like, read. This is so when I talk about invest in yourself, I'm not saying that you have to go to the coaching route and whatever. That's up to you, right? I mean, the truth of the matter is, and I will say this until I'm blue in the face, you're not investing in the other person, you're investing in yourself. So when you go to when I go to programs, like I'm in Tony Robbins' program right now, I was in another one before, I'm getting ready to do another one too. I don't go in there like, oh, I'm paying them money. No, I go in there and say, like, I'm investing into my next, because I understand what got me here is not going to get me to the next place that I desire to be, right? So that's why I'm doing it. So when you talk about forward, the very first thing, the F is for fostering continuous learning and development. It's important. Oh, openness to new experiences and perspectives. A closed mind does not get fed. A closed mind does not get fed. There are so many people that are just closed mind. You have to open your mind to different ways. And let me tell you what, one of the ways I do it is I vacation. People, if you've been around for a while, you know this. I vacation by myself a lot. And so going to different states and doing these things is not something that I'm afraid to do anymore. But why I open myself up to these new experiences, because when I go to these places, I make it a point of staying present, and I'm kind of like looking all around and just seeing how different states do different things, right? So if you want to learn how to operate in your gift in different environments, like today I was able to operate in my gift in the mall, talking to different people, the ones that would talk and shout. These people are not friendly in these streets, okay? They really are not. I don't know what's going on in this world. People say Jersey people are rude. Let me tell you something. I'm a Jersey girl all day and every day and twice on Sunday. And I'm just as friendly. People are not, but that's another story. I'm not gonna go here. But being open to new experience and perspectives, because I'm going to tell you something, like when I get a different perspective for somebody, although in the beginning even if I'm not saying anything, it'll allow your mind just to kind of like go and shift into a different space, which when you're trying to grow a business, or listen, you're trying to raise a family, you're trying to be, and I'm saying trying, I am. Yeah, right. And like real talk though, we're doers. We're not really triers. But it's like when you're walking into this, you have to get different perspectives, because the way we raise kids when I was coming up is completely different than how you do it now. Again, some of the cornerstones of values and morals, that stuff doesn't change, right? In raising children with character, no. But the way in which you do it has to change. So getting different perspectives is great. Even in handling your adult children, I'm so grateful for the different perspectives that I have in my life, because I open myself up to having those conversations, and I don't take what they say to me personally. It isn't personal. It's their perspective, and I can take it or leave it. And that's something that I want you to think about too as you're having these conversations. This doesn't mean you have to do everything they say. It just means like, okay, listen, this is a different perspective, right? And being open to new experiences. I'm going to tell you, like, being an African American female from Jersey, little hood, whatever, back in the day, it's when I go into these communities like Tony Robbins, and they're jumping around and they're singing and they're clapping, coming from where I come from, just keeping it a buck, like, it's like, okay, this is weird, or, this is not in my ethnic group. And here's the thing. Since I started opening myself up to it, though, the things in my life have become so much lighter, so much better, so much calmer. And I just realized that people have different modalities, and that jumping in that energy plays such a huge part in a lot of things that I do now. So if I would have allowed the fact that, I'm an urban girl to interfere with me not going into that community, I would have missed out on a lot. And not to mention the friendships that I, corroborated as a result of going into these new places. Open yourself up to new experiences. Go experience something like even when like now I'm in a different state. I went to different places and just explored, right? Just explored. And the other thing that does is it allows you to dream. Like when you go, the next time you go to a different state, find, one of the most expensive zip codes if you have the opportunity to do so. I like to do that often and just go and just go to the different houses, go see different things. I'm telling you, it'll start to do things for your mind. I do it to myself all the time. Even when I go on vacation, I didn't do it this time because it's really not a vacation. This is like really me kind of like house hunting a little bit. But I like to do a adventure that scares the living crap out of me. So that's just a way for me to step through fear, right? So that's opening yourself up to new experiences. It changes the way you do feel, see, and just like be. Real talk, it does. So next, resilience and self-compassion, because along the journey of life, resiliency is one of the biggest things because and people don't think they're resilient. Listen, if you've ever gone through something traumatic and you managed to pull yourself through it, listen to you are resilient. And just allowing yourself some self-compassion and grace, because this journey is not easy. Listen to my moms out here that maybe listen to this on Mother's Day. Being a mother isn't easy. Being a wife isn't easy. Being a partner isn't easy. Having a business isn't easy. Working in corporate America, whatever, I get, it's not easy. And you have to give yourself grace. If no one else told you, no one else told you, I'm saying today, I'm giving you permission. Take a break. Give yourself some grace. Have some compassion for yourself. We are so hard on ourselves in light, especially my people pleasers out there. So hard on ourselves, but so light and loving to everyone else. And I'm telling you today, you get to, you get to give yourself grace and ease and just take a beat in a moment, okay? And so the next is the W, willingness to step out of your comfort zone. Oh my God. This can be a whole TED talk, talkity talk, all the talks, because the number one killer next to, right, next to stay in your head, you're dead, is most people are so afraid to step outside their comfort zone. And I'm not saying that it's easy to do, like me getting on a plane, going to a different state, looking in a different area, trying to figure it out. It's I was overwhelmed. I went to the downtown area of the state that I was in, and I called my son because like I'm like, man, it's so overwhelming. I'm not saying that it doesn't. Stepping outside your comfort zone can feel like anxiety. Stepping outside your comfort zone can feel like overwhelm. Stepping outside your comfort zone can make you feel like, what the heck am I doing it and why? I get that. And guess what? That's where that growth is. So remember, I talked about the continuous learning and development. Guess where that growth is? It's in it is in you getting uncomfortable. Getting uncomfortable. It's hard. I'm like, yo, listen, I'm real about mine, right? We all get to the point where there's some things that are easy, and I get that. And it gets easier. That's what I will say. But in the beginning, it feels hard, and it's okay for you to say that. But listen to my language. Feels it feels hard, right? A lot of our emotions. How many of you know that your emotions run the gambit? Your emotions rule the roost and everything. So it's really the feeling that makes me feel that way. But I'm telling you, you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone in your relationships. You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone in your personal development, in your professional development. You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone, and you have to listen. You have to play full out in life. That's the one thing I will tell you that I learned, that was a new experience for me, just understanding what it looked like to play full out. I mean, I remember the first time I went to a program, it was called Next Level Training. And you had to do like catharsis, and it's like this screaming in the pillow. And I was like, I ain't about to be in here, doing all this, right? Like, I was not me. And here's the thing I said to myself: you said you wanted to change. You said you wanted to help women. You said you wanted to help people create a vision, so they can leave legacy for their family members behind them. You said you want to be, the best, one of the best vision strategist coaches in the world, as well as speaker, right? So that requires then for you, right, to step outside of everything that you're thinking in your head, because that's where that lack and all that stuff lives. And for you to play full out, what would it look like for you to play full out, and what comes out on the other side of it, right? So I'll tell you this: what no matter what you do, when you do it, put your all into it. Watch what happens when you do that. You decide you want to hire a coach. When you do it, go full throttle, play full out. I promise you, watch how things change and shift. Watch how you shift. You go into the program, watch how things shift. When you play full out in life, watch how life plays with you. Okay. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a very, very intentional. The universe loves you. God loves you. And what comes back is going to be absolutely amazing. Okay. And next, accountability through action plans. Let me tell you what we talked earlier about, the goal setting, right? But accountability is where you're either going to win or you're going to lose. Accountability is where you're going to win or you're going to lose. And I say that because most people don't hold themselves accountable. And then they think that, oh, I'm going to have this big vision and I'm going to have these goals and then I'm going to be able to do it on my own. Lies, lies, and fake news. Lies. Okay. Again, remember in the beginning, I talked about honesty, right? Stop lying to yourself. You are not the person that can hold you fully accountable. Notice the word fully, because I'm a person that I usually say what I mean what I say, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I even still fall short with accountability. It just, for me, I need a strong coach in my life that kind of like chop me in the throat a little bit. Like, let me just be real about myself. So to actually like really hold me my feet to the fire on every single thing. And most people are lacking accountability. You hear it all the time. No one wants to take accountability. They want to blame everybody else. It's everybody else's fault. It's their mother, it's their daddy, it's the person in their job. It's everything else other than the fact of they just don't want to be held accountable. You're the CEO of your life. You can hire and fire accordingly. And if you're not, guess what? It's on you. And the one thing that people cannot stand to hear is that where they are in their life is a direct result of the decisions that you are making. If you're an adult, if you are in your, late 30s, 40s, and 50s, I promise you, don't come telling me nothing about your mother and what she did and what they didn't do. At this stage of the game, you are making some very serious decisions and choices that have gotten you to the point where you are right now. You may not want to hear it, but I'm going to be the one to tell you. Okay. And here's why I'm telling you. I'm telling you because I love you. I'm telling you because I want you to be better. I'm telling you because I want you to have better, whatever that looks like for you, because it's different for everybody. And this isn't all about money either. This could be peace of mind. This could be peace in your spirit. This could be peace in your soul. Right. And I want you to have it. But one of the ways for you to have it is to be accountable and hold yourself accountable and really, really take action and stop talking about it and be about it. I love podcasts for what they are. I love YouTube for what it is. And I'll tell you what, I've really, really started to make the decision that I would just want to do less talking and just more work, because that's where it's at. Yeah, it's time to do that. All right. So next, reaching out for growth and progress. So what do I mean by reaching out? Okay. So that could look like, whatever it is you want to do, maybe starting to send some messages out to people that are in that area, right? Maybe getting recommendations for different programs, maybe getting recommendations for different coaches, maybe getting recommendations for, like, and this could be anything from parenting skills to therapists, to there's so many coaches for so many different things, health and wellness, right? So reaching out, if you want to, if you realize that in this stage in the game, like you need to take care of your health because that's the next thing on that action plan for you, right? Who do you need to reach out to? Right. So you want to reach out for growth and progress. And that's so great because when you have somebody that's holding you accountable and you're tracking your progress, it is actually phenomenal. So speaking of which, and I actually created an accountability tracking workbook that you can actually track your progress in. You want to write the stuff down. When I went to write my book, not that one, my first one, Finding Your Way, 7 Ways to Love and Heal Yourself. When I went to go write that book, like literally, I wrote every single day, like I'm going to write for 30 minutes a day. And if I didn't reach that, I wrote why I didn't and what needed to shift the next day. That becomes so important because if you're working towards a goal, right, and you're not tracking what you're doing, I'm telling you right now, when it's time for you to evaluate the end or you didn't meet your goal, you're not going to have any clue why. But if you wrote it down, then you have a clue. Paper remembers, you don't, because you're getting older and we don't even remember where our keys are. So you think you're going to remember what you did 2 months ago or what you didn't do? You won't. Write it down. Okay. All right. So the last is determination to persevere. Let me tell you something. Willpower is great, but you have to be determined. You have to have faith. You have to believe not just in yourself, but in the fact that what everything that you are looking to achieve, you absolutely can do it. This is where your faith has to come in. This is where I don't care who you believe in and what you believe in. I'm gonna tell you right now, you need a strong foundation of faith